won't waste another minute, no, I won't. I'm a man on a mission. I'm a man on a mission. I don't need no permission. I'm a man on a mission.
Welcome to Entitled to Nothing, where we believe our life is our fault. My name is Mink, and I started this show because for 20 years I have ran headfirst into failure after failure. And I found a way to turn my failures into lessons, and I've used those lessons to create life on my terms. I've went from broke and bankrupt with 6 figures in debt to figuring out a way to build multiple companies that have generated over $50 million in sales and giving me the freedom to do what I love and live my life my way. And my goal at the show is simply just to share everything I've learned on my journey to help inspire you on yours. Today I'm super excited because I've got an amazing guest in the studio with me today, a man that I consider a close friend. You're someone I deeply admire and respect. And I thought the best way to introduce you to the people is to simply share a story, something that we experienced together. So a few years ago, you sold your company.
Yes.
And I know the process you were going through, it is very grueling.
Yep.
And on the day that it closed, you called me up and you go, bro, the wire just hit my account. There's not a lot of people I can celebrate this type of thing with.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to get together and celebrate?
Yep.
I was like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm clearing my schedule. Where do you want to meet? And you're like, dude, let's just meet at the acai bowl spot. Let's get acai bowls and catch up.
Yep.
I was like, that's totally you.
Yeah.
Totally like low key, humble. So we get together and we're talking. And just for context, again, you're a super humble guy. You don't talk about it, but you sold your company for tens of millions of dollars to a publicly traded company. You literally never have to work another day of your life if you don't want to. But of course, you're freaking hungry, you're motivated, you're like out there doing it. But we get to the place and I ask you 2 questions. The first question I asked you was like, how does it feel?
Yeah.
And you said to me, man, I'm relieved. This has been the most intense process of my life. I've been on the phone with lawyers and accountants and bankers for a year straight, night and day. Like, I'm just relieved that it's all done with. And I was like, second question, what's the first thing you're gonna buy to celebrate?
Yeah.
And you said to me, you go, you know, bro, I don't really need anything else. But what I did do is I set up 10 scholarships at my school. You went to a prep school, very prestigious, nice school here in Arizona. And you're like, the first thing I wanted to do is set up 10 scholarships for underprivileged kids to be able to go to this school. And it's a scholarship that will renew every single year for life.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, man, like that is the perfect way to summarize who you are. Like you work your fucking ass off. You've got an incredible success in business. You've got an incredible fiance. I see you going all in on your relationship there. Your health, you do triathlons, you do all these things. You're a man that I really deeply admire and respect. And so I want to welcome you to Entitled to Nothing, everybody, Anthony Sarandrea.
Oh my God, Anthony, that was amazing. Shit. Thanks, dude. I love it.
It has the privilege of all being true, too. So.
Happy to be here, dude. I'll take the less yoked, not quite as big a man bun, Anthony B. I'll be
right.
Be
yeah,
Anthony,
Anthony and Anthony.
Yeah.
And we actually met at a marketing conference. One of the things I talk a lot about is the most important investment you ever make is in yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Completely.
Especially if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to grow. And it was cool. We met at a conference. Found out we lived in the same city. We actually live in the same freaking apartment complex,
yes,
believe it or not. And we've been friends ever since. But what I'd love to do is I'd love to start and just have you kind of take us back to where the journey began for you.
Yeah.
Like, when did you get started as an entrepreneur? Why did you know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? What was that catalyst? Kind of take us from beginning to maybe where we are today.
Yeah, 100%. I think, let's see, where's a good way to take this and start this? I think, let's go to like maybe junior year of college, and I don't know how the age demographic listening, but I think a lot of us can relate to not being sure what you want to do in life. So I never was like, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to run a business. I didn't know. My dad's a retired NYPD cop, works in the bankruptcy courts here. My mom worked in my elementary school growing up, so that was never exposed to me. So when I was in college, I got great advice from someone that basically said, if you can cross things off your list, that's just as good as checking it that you want to do it. So I sought out, and at one point I think I had like 6 different internships at one time.
Yeah.
Like literally, like I'd go to like 3 a day on Tuesday, Thursdays, and then some on Wednesday, Friday, some on the weekend. And I started just doing that, just crossing out what I didn't like and what I did like. And I started to it became a lot more clear, the path, just as I created that activity. And along the way, I got a job, and the job I just, and I don't know where I learned this, but just thought, let me over deliver. So if I get paid $50,000 a year, I want to deliver at least $60,000 of value. If I get paid 100, I want to 100, whatever the number is, right? But
absolutely.
like, I want to just over deliver. And I did that for this individual, and he started recommending me to his friends to also, do side remote project with. And my entire motivation was, and not that there's anything wrong if this is for someone, but it wasn't to drive a nice car, be in a nice house. It was actually freedom of my time. I wanted, and you and I relate, I wanted to be able to travel, and I wanted to be able to, I'm a bit of a night owl. I want to be able to work at 10 o'clock at night versus, having to get up at 5 a.m. or be on a strict schedule or work out midday if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Which of course now, people, not all working in the office. That's a luxury that people are experiencing now. But, go back 10, 12 years ago, that was a distant luxury for just a few people. So that was my motivation. So I over-delivered and continued to get just referred out and out. I didn't even know what I was doing. I thought I was just picking up side hustle
And
jobs.
what was the work you were doing at that time?
It was internet marketing.
Okay, so you're doing marketing stuff online for people.
SEO, web development, and then at the time it was Google AdWords. Facebook was just launching their ad platform, which was fun. So I got to got to intern under this guy that I mentioned. I got to learn a ton, and then referred me out to his friends, like I said. And all of a sudden, I found myself making more on my side hustle than I was on my day job, which felt pretty cool. And I said, okay, you know what? I think I can quit my day job and just have my side hustle, which was.
How long did that take?
I'd say about, actually excuse me, enough to pay my expenses, which at the time was $2,000 a month. Took probably about 6 to 8-ish months, if my memory serves.
Just hustling.
Right. Just hustling. And my income to surpass the income I had probably took about a year and a half. I think it's fair to say.
It's so interesting. I think this is such a beautiful point. One, crossing things off is as good as checking them off, right? It's like oftentimes we ask ourselves, what do we want? And this is the experience I had when I was first getting started. I was like, fuck, what do I want?
Yeah.
Dude, it's an unanswerable question, especially when you're young, you don't know, you don't have a lot of experience.
That's exactly right.
Fortunately, I had the perspective to ask myself the inverse. Well, like, okay, what don't I want?
Yes.
I was like, shit, I got some answers to that question.
That's exactly right.
And so that's exactly what you're talking about there. But then also similar to you, when I first got started, I threw myself into a couple of ventures and lost everything, as I kind of mentioned. And then I realized I have to work a day job to pay my bills.
Yeah.
And then I have to work a side hustle and bust my ass to like build the income. And I think oftentimes today, one of the things I hate about the entrepreneurial culture in the world we live in today is it's all about make as much money as you can, as fast as you can, scale, scale, scale. And then I think there's this perception that you can just like, you have the right to just do it immediately.
Yeah.
And almost all the people I know that have had the most success, they have had some type of indoctrination process where they've had the side hustle and the day job, or they've interned for somebody, or they've done that. And for me, it took me about 2 years to get to that point. You're obviously smarter and better looking, so you got there faster. But I love that process, not to interrupt you. So you were doing the side hustle for a year.
I think you said a few great things. I think one is, describe your perfect job, describe the job you hate, the job from hell. It creates a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And I think you're able to really, I found, you get 3 pages versus a paragraph of what you want, 3 pages of what you don't want. And then what you want is just the opposite of that, So I love that. And then, I don't actually fault people for, I don't agree with it and I don't condone it, but I don't fault for what you just said as far as should be rich today. And, I put a lot of blame on social media for that. Social media does a lot of good too. But, when you and I were growing up, I know we both came from humble beginnings. I didn't know if I could make, name your number, 100 grand, 50, whatever the number was, $1 million, whatever it was. I didn't know that. So I knew I could work my shit off. And that's what I did. I just worked my ass off.
Yes. And
then I eventually hit it, where I think now, specifically the younger generation has a real challenge that it would be great for them to, just like any challenge, you can wake up to it, which is great. So anyone listening to this, amazing. But you see Lamborghinis on Instagram, which oftentimes are rented. You see someone saying, I became a multimillionaire in 5 minutes, which is oftentimes not true. You see people selling courses on how to get rich and make money, which oftentimes they're selling courses because they don't know how to do it themselves. So they're monetizing you. And the challenge isn't, am I able to get that? It's, they know they can get it. They know it's possible. They see it. They see it omnipresent, and a lot of times fictitiously omnipresent or edited, if you will. But the challenge is the hard work element. It's almost flipped. So it's I know I can get that. I know that's possible. But now there's this internal frustration of why don't I have it this quick if everyone else is getting it that quick? And I think waking up to that's not true. Just that everyone else is getting it that quick, whether they say they are, or they have it, or they're showing it. A lot of times that's fabricated, and being able to realize that hard work and delayed gratification often is the real path to the only true path. Not only, sometimes you can have one-hit wonders, things like that, or quick hitters, but for the most part, I think to your point, you don't walk into a gym and squat 500 pounds.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So, and you have to start with the bar and then little weight and more and more and more. You have to show up every freaking day. And it might be a year later, it might be 2 years later, I don't know where it is, but eventually, if you work your butt off enough, you'll be able to squat that much weight. But to think that you can squat that much weight out of the gate because you saw someone else do it on Instagram is silly. And I think that analogy really fit pretty well to what people are doing in business.
I know for me, my life as an entrepreneur changed when I realized that it was more about the journey instead of the destination.
Of course.
When I got started, and we both got started in the same industry in affiliate marketing, it was like you can make a lot of easy money quickly if you know what you're doing.
Yes.
And so for me, I had a mentor tell me like, hey bro, easy money makes you really stupid. Because even though you're working hard, like it's actually coming maybe a little bit easier than in other industry, other situations.
Yes.
And so like, don't get too far ahead of yourself. Don't get too excited.
Yeah.
But I was in the very beginning of my entrepreneurial career, I was hunting. I was like hunting and killing. I wasn't building anything. I wasn't farming in any way or planting any seeds. And so I always had this short-term mindset.
Yeah.
And it took me like going through some pain and some failures and losing everything a couple times to realize if I'm always looking on a short-term time horizon, I'm always going to be chasing something.
That's right.
But if I can fall in love with the work and not really care about the destination, like one of the things I love, it says, there's like this quote, I don't know who says it, but they say the man that loves to run will run farther than the man that loves the destination.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think that's really what you're talking about. It's like falling in love with the hard work and
I mean, anyone listening can relate to whatever that when you graduate high school, it's the best time of your life. And when you do that, like we set these milestones. When I make $100,000, when I do this, when I get this, and then you get there, and if you sit with it or if you look back long enough, you realize it's kind of empty. Like even like I remember when I my goal was to make $100,000, and when I did, I was empty, and I was just like, and I don't want to say I got depressed. That's not the right word, but I was certainly down for a couple months, and I went through this thought. And I go, if you do this, could you be happier? No. If you do this, would you be happier? No. If you were Oprah, would you be happier? No. And I just got, that's so sad. And then I woke up one day and I said, what a beautiful gift of life that is. That no destination will ever satisfy you. But if you look at the process, like you said, you're fulfilled every day. If I'm just a tiny bit better today than I was yesterday, it's fulfilling. And it doesn't matter whether my goal is $100 million or someone else's is $10. Oftentimes that $10 person is going to be more fulfilled than me. Which is what a beautiful gift to life that we will never, ever find a finish line where we say, cool, I made it now, and kick our legs up. I think it's one of God's greatest gifts to us. Is that exact dilemma, that exact situation. It always raises the bar.
I know Tony Robbins has impacted both of our lives deeply. We've spent time with him, and he says success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure.
That's right.
And I think in our own ways we've experienced that, right? Because society is programming us to focus on the destination, the cars, the house, the girls,
because you're a good
money.
consumer when you do that.
Exactly.
Good consumer.
And when you're chasing that, it leads to the ultimate failure. It leads to a lack of fulfillment, a lack of purpose. And when you work so hard to get something and you think, once I get here, I will arrive. And then you get there, and whether it's a week or a month or whatever the time frame is, you realize you're the same person, you've got the same fears, the same doubts, the same insecurities.
And you're actually in a worse spot oftentimes because what you thought was going to make you happy didn't. Now you're really fucked. You're like, I don't get it. What do I do now? And I think it takes that coming home to yourself and realizing that it's, like you said, it's the process, it's growing and giving that actually is where you find fulfillment, not things and stuff.
So then the solution to that scenario is falling in love with the work that you do.
I think it's
Yeah.
to quote Tony Robbins, growing and giving. I think it's growing,
Yeah.
and then giving doesn't mean just writing checks to charity. Giving means giving your time, spending time with your kids,
Sharing your insights.
yeah, exactly, sharing your insight. What growing or giving, excuse me, can be so much more broader than the first thought in someone's head, which is I write a check to an organization. It's giving can be so much more fulfilling than that, and oftentimes I'll write a check, but also I'll set up times to go meet younger individuals and things like that I gave to, and it's not just a check and move on, and it becomes addicting.
How old were you when you had this awareness of like, shit, I've been focusing on the destination, but I really just need to fall in love with the journey?
I would say let's go back to that timeline. Again, I'm butchering this, but 6 to 8 months maybe where I'm able to afford my expenses.
Yep.
And then maybe a year and a half before I'm outpacing my salary or that I'm making at the job, and then probably I'll say another year, but it was around that $100,000 mark, which I think a lot of people that aren't making whatever number you come up with, that's a lot of people's milestone, right? And it was mine for sure.
Yeah.
And right around there, and I was 20, probably 22, 23, maybe in there.
Yeah.
And let's go with 23. And that was the first time that I got the opportunity to learn that hard lesson, and it stuck with me forever.
Wow.
It stuck with me forever.
What a gift, bro, to learn that so young.
Yeah, right, isn't
to
it?
be in that position.
Yeah, and I think anybody can, again, too, whatever goal you've set, think back when you got there and realize it was only satisfying for a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And I think if you actually spend enough time in that, you could get that lesson today. You don't have to wait to make $100,000 or whatever the next goal is. You can look backwards and find that.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy for us to say, like it's more about the work than the destination when you've had some success, when you've traveled, when you've done the things.
Yeah.
But my hope, and I know this is your hope, that everybody listening will have that epiphany where they realize, shit, I've accomplished what I wanted and it doesn't fulfill me in the way that I want. And then you result back to the work.
I think the irony in life, and I'm not saying this is for all successful people, I'll say for myself, was focusing on adding value to your team, to your customers. Again, I think we'll probably quote Tony Robbins a few times on this interview.
Yeah.
But business is a spiritual game.
Yes.
And in order to be successful in business, you have to add more value consistently to people in order for them to buy your shit at the end of the day. Let's just call it what it is. So I think when you put that focus on that, adding value to your customers, having a great product or service, adding value to your team, being able to mentor and grow them, adding value to your shareholders, anyone in your life, I think you get rewarded economically by that. Yeah. So I think the irony is by not sometimes focusing, and again, it is, and that's why I said I disclaimed myself. If your motivation is a Lamborghini, hell yeah, for sure. I'm proud of you, brother. I can't wait for you to get it. But I'm gonna bet pretty much every dollar I've ever made once you get it, it's gonna keep you happy for a very short time period. If you're not focused on other things on top of that, doesn't mean you won't enjoy that when you get there. But and I think we all need to go through that lesson on ourselves, right? Like I could, someone an older, I get told all the time, I get much older, gray-haired people around me that are far more successful, and they'll tell me a lesson. And sometimes I'll look at them and I'll go, I think I'll probably need to learn that one on my own because I hear you. Intellectually I hear you, but it hasn't hit me.
Yes.
And then I'll go through it and I will fail and they'll be right. Not all the time, but they'll be right.
Yeah.
And I'll come back and I'll go, now I understand what you said. I heard you, but now I understand it. So, if that's the process people go through, great. If someone's able to look backwards and kind of feel that and take that and move today with it, even better. You're able to, you're able to skip hurdles in life, and you and I have for sure done that as well too. Be able to jump over hurdles because of someone else's advice. But I
have this theory just in reflection, thinking about my journey. Yeah. When I started, I cared about one thing, and that was the freedom, right?
Yeah, me too.
To live my life my way. Right. And I think the majority of entrepreneurs, that's how they start. Mm-hmm. I think there's a small percentage of us out there that they have a problem they want to solve, or they've had a pain that they are trying to solve in the world. Yeah. So it's mission driven, maybe from day one. For sure. But I think that's a small percentage. I think the vast majority of entrepreneurs that make it, their primary motive was selfish to begin with, and it's freedom.
It's probably correct. Yeah.
And then if you play the game long enough, you realize the only way that you can get past a certain threshold is if it flips from selfish to selfless.
I agree. I completely agree. I mean, you need that, right? We only have 24 hours in the day. You and I. You need a team around you. You need evangelist customers, which you guys obviously have built and have, and you need vendors to help you. You need mentors, advisors. You need all these people to cheer for you.
Yeah.
And in order to get them to cheer for you, you have to be selfless, right? I don't know too many selfish people enjoy cheering for.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
think
many.
one of the things I really love about you is the way that you approach relationships. I don't actually know anybody that I see real time, like witness, that invests or cares about people as much, anybody that you do. Like you bring people over to your house, you throw these massive birthday parties, and what's funny is like, I know it doesn't have anything to do with you. You're just trying to like treat your friends and your family and bring everybody together to have an experience. And so I think if you can treat business, relationships, employees, vendors, legal team, finance team, whatever it is, with that frame of relationship, I think at the end of the day, everything that we do comes down to our ability to build relationship.
I agree.
To add value to people, like you said.
For sure.
And then to be able to meet people where they are and make them feel seen, heard, and understood.
I'll tell you a motivation of mine that is, I don't even know if I've shared it, and it's kind of funny. And it's I remember I had a boss that was kind of an asshole. I just remember like having this, I would literally call my brother, I would throw up in the bathroom because I hated being there so much. I hated that job and I hated this guy. It made my life hell. And I just remember being like, this guy has that much influence in my life. One, in hindsight, he didn't have to have that much influence, but I'd let him. And I just remember being like, you know what? One day I'm gonna be a fucking badass boss. I'm gonna make people happy, enjoy their life. That is my fucking goal. And I still take that today. I still think today, like, dude, how cool is it to just be nice and kind and cool and humble and sweet, and like, and I think it's just aligning with the right mentors, because some people could easily look at, you know, someone who's flashy and this and that and say that's who I want to be, but for whatever reason, like, I gravitated towards that, and I just like, and you can call it ego, but you know, I think it's a good use of the ego.
For
but
sure.
I was just like, you know what, I want to be as successful as possible and still be humble and kind and giving and caring. And it's like, and again, that is an ego, right? Because someone else can say, I want to be as successful as possible and buy this and do that and do that.
100%.
I like it, but yeah, it was off that motivation of just that one, like, a useful enemy that I still take with me sometimes.
I love it, bro. I think I've had a few bosses in my life that I hated as well. And my thought always was like, I know I don't want to ever work for anybody. I don't want anybody to have to tell me what I can and cannot do. But also having the awareness that, like, not everybody is like that. And I have the capacity to lead people in a way that I would want to be led if I was.
For sure.
And so I think that idea of how do you be the leader or the manager or the employer that you would want, or that you would want to work with.
It's a great way to look at it. That's exactly, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Great way to look at it.
Yeah. So take us from $100,000 to connect the gaps to where you are today.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, again, had great income, filled up my schedule. My brother, again, back to that motivation, I just had this idea that, like, oh shit, when he graduates, he's gonna have the same boss as mine. So that was an incredible motivator for me. And I challenge people to find a real octane fuel motivator, because I think, again, no hate, but a Lamborghini's unleaded fuel, I think you know, something that really pulls you is a octane fuel. And so that's high octane fuel for me. My brother's been my best friend my whole life. I care about him more than you know, anything, along with, you know, my beautiful fiance and the rest of my family. But I didn't want him to go through that, and so I ended up hiring him on, and by hiring I mean he worked for free for me at first, and then was able to start filling up his schedule and you make a little more money to be able to pay him and cover his expenses very quickly and grow him. And you know, I think especially at early stages, and again, I don't know what stages anyone is on coming up with an idea or having huge businesses, so I'll just go through just some thoughts along each stage for me. But you know, at that stage, like, I set a high watermark for myself, so I think it was like $8,000 a month or whatever it was, $10,000 a month, whatever the number was. And I would hire people, him in this case, to get me out of the day-to-day. And that was always my goal. And not so I sat on a beach, but so that I could spend time thinking and learning and focus on higher value activities at that stage of the business, which I know is sales. Sales is the highest value activity you can do, period, in my opinion. So fulfilling on the product or the service, things like that, is necessary in order for you to go sell and bring more on or sell your customers. So anyway, that high water mark. And as we went above it, I would relinquish more control. And he'd, of course, fall on his face and stumble. We'd drop down to 7 or 6, and then I'd jump back into the business. And we'd get it back up. And I became confident that I could get it up again if it fell down.
Yeah.
So the trend line would go like 8 to 6 to 9 to 7, right? And it would slowly go like this. And then all of a sudden I'd find myself, we were doing 20 grand a month. And I'd go, okay, I got to set a new high watermark for different activities. Maybe it wasn't me getting back into manage ads or something like that, but now it was talking to clients or whatever that was. So I think at that stage in business, I think it's naive, and hopefully you feel the same way. I'm blessed enough. My memory is getting more distance where like I remember I'd like give talks to like companies that were like under 250 grand in revenue, and I'm like, dude, I was in your seat 5 years ago. I know this shit. Now it's like 10 plus years ago, so it's getting more distant. But I think anyone who's far distance from that and says, hire A player, go do this, dude. When you're making 100 grand a year in your business, like you fucking can't.
Yeah.
You can't. And hopefully you can get someone inspired enough to really be underpaid. Like in this case, my brother or a friend or someone who's really on board for the mission, or you can find a partner where you're able to give up equity to be able to do that. But, getting yourself out of the day-to-day is challenges. I see businesses, they could be up to, I don't know where the breaking point is, but they could be up to $5 million in revenue. And the business owner's working 80 hours a week, CC'd on every single email. And I'm like, dude, you are a slave to your job. You might as well go get a full-time job and be able to clock in and out 9 to 5 and probably make the same amount of money. I think it's really important at that stage to make sure you're focusing on the highest value activity while having one foot in to make sure that the lights stay on. And that kind of process or framework really served me well to get myself to be able to get the business to be able to scale, but be able to get myself out of the day-to-day.
What's some of the internal dialogue that you're going through during this process? Are you scared? Do you have fears, limitations? Do you have self-doubt, like lacking confidence? What's some of that internal dialogue as you're going from $100,000 a year to multiple tens of millions a year?
I think when you're it's a very famous quote, I don't know who says it, but he who says he can and who he says he can are both usually right. And that really stuck with me. So as soon as I would catch myself having limiting beliefs, self-doubt, not ignorant, naive thoughts, meaning like, this will never fail, this will never go bad, let me go take out loans and go do this, But as far as my own confidence, my own ability, anytime that doubt creeps in, I squash it. I get rid of it immediately. So I'm a liar if I don't say it doesn't come in.
Where did you learn to do that?
Probably basketball.
Okay.
Probably sports. Probably sports, and just realizing, you walk up you walk up to a free throw line. I'm gonna miss. You might make it sometimes, but I guarantee if I charted how many times I missed, it's a higher percentage than when I went up there and said, "There's no chance I missed this shot." Of course, I missed some.
Yeah.
But I think I put myself in an equally better you ever see a kicker and you go, this guy's gonna miss this fucking field goal?
For sure.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just like, it doesn't mean if he walks up with that confidence, doesn't mean he's not gonna miss the field goal, but I'm gonna bet on him having a higher percentage of field goal makes versus misses when he has that. So I realized, like, if I indulge in that feeling for very long, like it's self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's so good, man. I think, one of the things I'm very open about on the show, and one of the reasons why I wanted to start this in the first place is, like, I think the biggest mistake I've ever made is not believing in myself.
Sure, yeah.
And I struggled with that for most of my life. And so I did believe a lot of those limitations, a lot of those doubts. But to your point, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
And we're going to tell ourselves a story, whether it's an empowering one or a disempowering one. It's all bullshit.
Yes, I agree.
But I want to highlight what you said there, because I think that we have a plague of self-doubt in the world today.
For sure.
I think, and all the social media stuff you're talking about,
and
all the comparison. If you're a man and you log online, it's like everybody has a nicer house, a better car. They make more money. They go on better vacations. They're in better shape. It's just this. We're sold this lie, and naturally we're comparison creatures.
Yes.
I don't think comparison is necessarily a bad thing, but it's who and how are we comparing ourselves to. But being able to not believe the lie that you tell yourself about why you can't do what you do is actually, I think, one of the things that separates us.
I'm trying to remember the quote our good friend Kyle Kinzel gave me. If I had my phone, I'd pull it up. But it was basically like something along the lines of like, you're not worried about other people's opinion. You're basically a slave to your own opinion. Essentially that, like, right? Like, I'm not worried about what Anthony thinks about. Sorry. it's not actually your opinion of me that bothers me. It's what I think your opinion is that bothers me. Or
Yes.
if I hear your opinion and then I make meaning out of that. And,
Yeah.
and I think that's free will at the end of the day. And I'll circle back to what we were talking about. But I think when people say what is free will, and not to make this religious or anything, but what is free will? I think it's the ability to make meaning. Is this going great? Is this going terrible?
Yeah.
Is this room huge or is it
Yeah.
small? And I think that's free will. So that's really exciting for me to recalibrate things that are a failure to be the biggest. Let me just flip. And I feel like oftentimes it's the anecdote, if that's the right word. It's the exact opposite of what it is that gets you out of that place.
Yeah, the inverse.
Yeah, the exact inverse. I'm in a terrible position right now. I'm in the best position I've ever been in my life. And when you put that frame on, oftentimes it is.
Yeah.
And it's so weird because you could be in debt and you could be low and you can be this. And when you put that frame and you go, well, how is that true? How is that true? How is that true? It's not. It is. How? Well, I'm hungry. I'm motivated. Well, I'm scrappy. I've got time. And you try to end up all these things and you go, these are real advantages.
Yeah.
Across someone who's not in debt, someone who isn't like they get satiated. When you're successful and wealthy, you can get satiated, you can lose motivation, all these things, right? Like lose value, intrinsic value, you don't have time, all these things. If you're broken with time, like you've got all these other things, and you've got, I've got kids. I can't do. Well, that's your motivator, your kids. You know what I mean? I don't have that motivator. I don't have kids right now. You have a great motivator. So just looking at the exact inverse, I think is.
This is why I wanted to call the show Entitled to Nothing, because I really believe we are entitled to nothing, and the tagline is our life is our fault, because every meaning, that every situation, we're defining it. Yeah. We're defining ourselves, or we're defining what that moment means. It can be empowering, it can be disempowering. I play games with myself now because to your point, it's automatic. Yep. Like we have these automatic thoughts that pop up. I'll wake up one morning, silly example, fuck, my body hurts, I'm tired. Yeah. I'm gonna have a shitty day.
Yep.
And that's a thought that I have. Yeah. And I've programmed myself to say out loud, no, I'm gonna have a great fucking day today. Yeah, because I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this. Yeah. And oftentimes the biggest, I think, I'm curious your perspective on this, the biggest difference between very successful people and everyone else is very successful people don't listen to the bullshit thoughts and they reframe them. Yeah. And everybody else feels, oh shit, today's gonna be a bad day, and so they have a bad day. My brother's the greatest teacher of this, because sometimes like I've had times in my life where I've had tremendous anxiety or panic attacks, and so I can relate. You feel trapped. So even I hear you. I want to get out of that thought. I want to get, but how? How do you get? It's not that easy. Well, someone who's been telling themselves for 30 years, this sucks. My body, I do stuff like, first off, you start today is number one. But my brother's the greatest teacher of this, and my fiance is humor, and I just I'll laugh sometimes at my body hurts this, and I'll be like, that's so funny, and I'll just say that, and it's not funny, but what? Yeah. And it automatically makes me think, what's funny about this situation? Well, it's funny because I'm actually kind of young, and actually this actually feels pretty good, or that's funny. I didn't even work out the last few days. How can my body hurt? Or that's funny. I need to work. Yeah. And humor is such a powerful tool that I've pattern interrupt.
Yeah, it's been such a great tool taught by my brother and fiance in my life that is it's really transformed me. Just to be able to bring that to situations that otherwise I bring a lot of seriousness to. And the last thing I'll say, which is on this topic, it's not necessarily contradicting what we said, but I have extreme belief in my abilities and confidence, but I underwrite my life like a mortgage officer conservatively, meaning I'm smart with the risks I take, because I think a lot of times, especially the younger generation, because they've seen it all, they have enormous amounts of confidence. Amazing. Or not, right? Let's go with someone that does. I love it. If you don't, you need that. I think that's very important. If you do, I think there's a line between confidence and delusional, and I think it's up to you to set where that is. And I think delusional is healthy sometimes, but I think calculated risk. So I think it's Ray Dalio says if we manage the downside, the upside takes care of itself. Yeah. So I have full confidence my next business is going to sell for 9 figures. I have I could go on for 15 minutes about how overwhelmingly confident I am, but I'm not taking out a $10 million bank loan today. Yeah. I am doing it smart. I've got team members that I know how good they are in work, and minimizing, hey, after we hit a certain revenue, salary goes up and down, but stick with me, start on a little bit lower level. Here's what,
Yeah.
and so I underwrite my risk.
Yeah.
What happens if this doesn't work? And I only go into that framework to make sure I'm managing my downside. But other than the couple minutes or the decisions or the time that I deliberately do that, everything else I'm deliberately overly delusionally optimistic on.
Yeah.
Until it comes time to make a decision that potentially could have some downside. So there's no downside to me all day long.
Yeah.
Being so brainwashing myself on how certain I am on what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And telling people and talking about
And that's generated. You're generating.
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 It's a habit, right? It's energy's a habit. It's all a habit. Just like
Yeah.
you've told yourself for 30 years, I hate this. I'm a failure. Life sucks. There are no good people left.
Yeah.
You literally, like, it's funny because it was scary for me the first time I heard it, the word hypnotize. But we actually just hypnotize ourselves.
Yes.
People are like, you're so positive. I've just hypnotized myself.
Yeah.
Genuinely, that's the input I have in. I don't watch the news. When I'm on run, I listen to positive motivational stuff for hours. I surround myself with positive people. It's almost impossible for me to be negative because and it's not that I don't fall into that sometimes. Of course I do, but I've hypnotized myself. With the majority of my day is just so positive. How could I don't know anything else.
Yeah.
But if all you know right now and all you're ingesting and all you're looking at and all you're telling yourself is negativity, you don't know anything else right now.
Yeah.
So you need to start getting exposure, I think, to some of those things and start that habit. And that it could be, I think the simplest thing is 2 minutes in the morning. And it's funny. I was trying to make a habit. I was trying to meditate for 15 minutes a day.
All right.
And I had a coach or a counselor just go, "Well, that's way too much." And it's after I couldn't do it for a while, and it immediately aligned with me. I was like, "Oh, is it really too much?" Oh, maybe that's why I'm not doing it. She goes,
Yeah.
"What's the minimum amount you could do? Give me the minimum." And I said, "Well, 2 minutes. I mean, what the fuck? That's so easy." And she goes, "Great, do that for the next week, and we'll talk." And it was so it might be 30 seconds for someone. It might be 10 seconds, whatever
Yes.
the minimum is. And I thought it was so beautiful. Go back to the workout analogy. I can't lift 500 pounds. Well, what's the minimum you can do? I guess I can do air squats. Do air squats. What'll happen is
started.
you'll end up doing, you say you do 10, you end up doing 12. And then you say you're going to do air squats, you end up putting the bar on your back. And it gets you in the game, which otherwise, if I came in and you've never worked out before and we went through vice versa, you put me through a workout, you beat the shit out of me, I'm not coming back, dude.
Yeah.
But if I go in there and you go, "What do you want to do, Anthony?" And I go, "I just want to walk. I want to walk around the gym." You just want to walk? Yeah. Okay, great, just walk. I might accidentally pick up a weight. I might accidentally jump on a machine. And it was so beautiful just to so whoever's listening, that if you don't train that positivity, whatever the minimum 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever that is in the morning, just pointing out what's good in your life. And you might, if you've trained yourself, far enough down in the right, it might take you, nothing's good. Like, oh, what's good?
Yeah.
I guess I woke up. I guess I'm gonna go eat breakfast. I guess I drank water. And like the simpler the better. It's like it doesn't need to be these elaborate, I won the lottery.
Yeah.
And I just think that daily practice, and I don't know what the time frame is for how long, but I think eventually it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
It becomes such a habit. But I think it's not a habit. And it's so setting that, so anyways, the framework, set the minimum amount of time in the morning to focus on what's good or what you appreciate in your life. And eventually that compounds because you'll do that longer, or you'll do that accidentally throughout the day. You'll start looking at something, something bad, and you think it's good, and it just, and then it becoams a habit. And all of a sudden you'll wake up one day and you'll be just like the panic attacks or something like, I had these, you're never gonna get out of these. I'll never get out of these things. Never, and it will habit. What am I do? Every day I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And one day I woke up and I started crying. I might even tear up right now. I was just like, I don't have this anymore. It's gone. And it wasn't like a date or a set time or anything like that. It was just focused on those daily practices that compound on each other, and all of a sudden you're in a beautiful state in life.
Yeah. I think first off, I love that.
Yeah.
To kind of summarize for the audience, a lot of times we think we have to have this big smart move, or we need to take these massive actions.
Yeah.
Right. And having success is less about being extra smart and massively, hitting home runs. It's more about protecting the downside and just not fucking up.
Sure.
And just doing consistent things over time. And then habits, like how we feel and how we show up every day, starts with the smallest behaviors.
Yeah.
It's like, again, we think we have to do this big thing or make this big change, but it's really chunking it down to the simplest things
Yeah.
and saying, you know, how do I make, I think there's something inside of me personally, there's something inside of my environment, financially, relationships, whatever it is, that I've had enough with, I don't like, I don't want, I need to change. And we hypnotize ourselves to think that we have to do these massive things.
Yeah.
But the massive things really are built off of one brick at a time.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the one amendment I'll say, because you summed that up so beautifully, is the not fucking up. Let me amend that statement, if I can. My favorite quote, you said, give me one quote you live with, it's fail fast.
Mm-hmm.
So what I mean by that is take risk, fuck up.
For sure.
A lot.
Yes.
Minimize how hurtful the fuck up is.
Yes.
And how long it takes to fuck up.
Yes.
So I fuck up 50 times a day.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Because I agree. I think that I have on my wall, it says the road to success is paved with failure.
100%.
The faster we fail, the faster we're going to find success.
Yes.
But you have to take them calculated. You have to know at what degree you're capable of failing and make sure you give yourself the opportunity to learn.
It's the same reason I didn't quit my day job until I replaced the time. It's the same reason why I set a high watermark to jump back in the business. So I knew it was going to fail, and it kept failing, but it was calculated and I could bring it back up, or I still had my income so I could pay my rent. I didn't just call like this or something like that. And then so the how hard the punch down is, I think, is one thing for people to think about. But being okay and in fact anticipating that you're going to have a ton of those. So being excited about the punch down and knowing how you're going to what your game plan is. And then the second one, this one I call it like the mom syndrome, especially for someone like wanting to like start a new business. Like the time frame between failures. Like so many people have this. I have this water bottle that's perfect. It's just an idea and it's great. It has all this stuff. Well, can I see it? Not yet. Or is it like, oh no, and just get, like. It should have holes in it. It should not have a lid on it. It should be murky water, and you should try and sell it. And then some people are gonna buy it and return it and tell you this is shit. I hate it. And they're gonna tell you that this has holes in it. And that's where you learn, and that's how you iterate and you make changes. But when someone waits for the perfect water bottle, this thing never actually comes up, because I could find 10 things wrong with this water bottle.
For sure.
I could find 10 things amazing with it too. And I think that, you know, the people that have, it's easy a lot of times to hide behind like this dream or vision, and I think you know, I could get that if I just don't want to. You know, you hear people say that, right? Whether it's relationships or things or you know, I'm gonna be a billionaire. I'm gonna be. Well, that's so far that and you actually can live in that moment, which is actually really cool. You can live in that moment that you are a billionaire, and it feels, and you get a little dopamine hit. But it doesn't. It's not real, and it can be useful, that exercise sometimes. But like a lot of times, like, you don't actually get off your ass and go start working hard.
I had a mentor, he told me very early on in my career, he said, ideas unexecuted are just entertainment.
Yeah.
And you can entertain yourself.
Yes.
It's necessary. You have to have the ideas. You have to dream. You have to entertain that idea.
Yes.
But if you don't execute, then you're just lying to yourself.
It's delusion.
And it delusion, or it becomes the way that you martyr yourself to say like, oh, once I get this right, you know. It's the failure thing is so interesting, man, because I think that's the one thing that holds a lot of people back. And maybe using a financial analogy, right? Like if you've got $100,000 and you invest it, right? You're going to make investments that lose you money.
Of course.
That failure is teaching you what to do. What you don't want to do is make a $100,000 investment that's very risky, that could lose you everything.
Exactly.
Right. And so it's that like intelligence,
calculated
incremental,
across
calculated risk.
10 different risks is a perfect analogy on that. 10 different risks. If we're going to use $100, $10 each risk. Yeah. And you're betting on, you're hoping that 6 out of the 10 are successful, and you're in 4 out of, it's the VC model. Yeah. You know, 49% are going to fail, 51% are going to do well, and they're going to make money. Yeah. And it's that same diversified risk. I'm trying to remember. I wanted to double click on what you were just saying though too. You were saying, as far as, if it comes back to me, I'll circle back. But.
Well, talking about failure, what is a defining moment for you where you literally like you had a big failure, a big loss, and something that really defined the next stage of growth for you?
It's a good question. You know, I remember what I was going to say, but and then I'm going to circle back on that. I used to come into my team and we'd have like weekly huddles and meetings, and I'd be like, it's the beginning, you know, earlier stages of our company. I still even do this when I break out. I want to make so many fucking mistakes this week.
Yes.
Because we have 50 years in business together, that we can learn from. I want to make them all today when they're relatively smaller. And this is when, we're still doing multi-million-dollar company, but we're small compared to where I want to be in life and what I want to do and produce. I want to make so many fucking mistakes that we can learn. Now, if we don't learn from those mistakes, we have a different
Yes.
problem. But I want to fail being aggressive, not being passive. So
Sense of urgency.
yeah, and it helps so much, and it would help with, like, I remember a story that one of our media buyers misspent like 50 grand in a weekend to air. None of our customers could take, like, it was literally went to a dead page. And I remember he came in on Monday and he was like, saying how he was like sick to his stomach all weekend. I didn't know to tell me, and I had like a split second, and I go, dude, that's awesome. And he goes, what?
Yeah.
And I go, that's awesome. And he goes, no, I don't think you are understanding it. And I go, no, I don't think you're understanding me.
Yes.
And the reason why I said that's awesome, even though it was a mistake, is I knew if I had reprimanded him, he will forever be afraid
Yes.
to scale and to take risks and to do that, and he will forever be handicapped. And
So good.
unless I now, if he did it twice, now we have a problem.
Yes.
And if he didn't learn from it, and the conversation eventually got to like, hey, what can we do differently to put stopgaps in place? Basically, what did we learn?
Yeah, how do we solve for it?
But actually, like, welcoming it and exciting it, like, I know dramatically changed the trajectory of his performance and our company's
career,
growth, and his career and our company's
Yeah.
successes.
Dude, you might like this. So last summer, we made some mistakes, lost about 100 grand, which for us was the most we'd ever lost.
Yep.
And so I announced it to the team. We share profits with the team where we're doing month to month. I share kind of like our P&L. I want everybody to understand their contribution to what we're doing and how we're doing. And when we win, we celebrate together. So this is the biggest loss we've ever had in the company. And I'm presenting it to them, and I'm looking at their faces, and their energy is down. They're worried. They're fearful. And I said, so here's what we're going to do. I'm taking all you motherfuckers to the movie. We're going to go celebrate. And the movie Gran Turismo just came out, right? Have you seen that?
No, but I think you remember telling me
It's
the
freaking
theater.
phenomenal. There's a moment in there where he has this crash, he kills some people, and it's a defining moment.
Yeah.
And he's like either going to get in the car and keep driving, or he's done forever.
That's exactly right.
And I think oftentimes the world trains us that when we do make a big mistake, we're going to get hammered.
Yeah.
But if we can train people to learn from it, to praise it, to celebrate it, but also, let's not do this shit again. Let's make sure we pay the dumb tax one time.
Yes, that's exactly right. And it's one time it's an investment well spent. Two times it becomes I completely agree if you didn't learn from it. Biggest failure. Man, I have so many. Biggest failure that would be welcome. I mean, I'll give you just a real time one. Like I made a real estate investment that isn't going well. And again, very calculated, very small percent. Let's go maybe 2-3% of my net worth. So again, back to eating my own dog shit, if you will, in this case. Like actually, practice what I'm preaching. But it's still frustrating, and I'm like literally losing sleep over it. I'm getting mad at myself, not at him. Even if I went to get mad at him for a second, it's at myself. How can I do that? And dude, I just immediately said, what can I learn from this? And totally flipping the narrative and saying, what did I learn? I started taking notes. Well, the sponsor was inexperienced. I didn't do it. He had only been good when the market was good. Got it. He hasn't done it 30 plus years. That's my new investment philosophy. If you haven't been doing it 30 years, I'm not investing with you privately. Great. What else did I do? It wasn't very diversified. There was only 3 properties in this portfolio. My new philosophy is there needs to be at least 25,
Yes.
And I had a new investment philosophy that was born out of this.
Yes.
Out of this thing that was like so bad. And then as I'm looking at all my other investments, I made so much more money than I lost. And I'm just saying this is just like it's just a real-time thing. And it was just
100%.
And it was like I had a new investment philosophy defined out of this. I started reading and learning about real estate like a lot more. And I said, you know what? I'm going to become a real estate fucking expert because of this. And if I didn't have that drive, I didn't have a boss that was an asshole, this guy hadn't lost money for me, I don't have that drive that has benefited me literally quantifiably so much more. Yeah. Like that lesson was going to school. I went to school is what it was. It was tuition. And looking at it, any failure as tuition, I think is the proper way to do it, because otherwise it's a loss. A loss and a tuition are 2 different things.
Dude,
just a lesson.
Again, man, it's so good because oftentimes we want to be a victim, we want to blame, or we just get frustrated.
Yeah.
Right? But I wholeheartedly believe that every failure, every obstacle, every challenge has the seed for a greater level of growth.
Yeah, it does.
And at every new level we reach, we're going to encounter new problems, new failures, new challenges that then will be the catalyst for the next level of growth.
I think these failures are whatever you believe in, God, higher power, whatever. I keep using the weight analogy because I know we're both into working out. I'm sure a lot of your audience is too, but like your soul is getting sculpted by these. And if you don't, how do you get stronger? You put pressure against you with heavy weights, and you do multiple repetitions with heavy weights. And I think when everything's winning and you're good, you don't have these challenges. There's no weights there. This is pretty light. This air's light.
Yeah.
When I lost money in that, whatever failure you want to come to, it's heavy on you. Keep me up at night.
Resistance.
It's resistance, and if I can push against that resistance and grow from there, my mind, my emotions, my soul all get sculpted into something that is so more prepared for the next thing. And for me, again, not to make this so religious, but I believe it's God preparing me for something bigger in my life. And now I not immediately, but I trust it. The second I have that, I go, oh my God, this is preparing me for what's next? What's next month? What's next year? Not next challenge. What blessing? What next like amazing thing? Like, oh my God, I thought I was going to do a $100 million company. I might have a $250 million company because of all these challenges I have right now. They're happening for a reason.
Yes.
And are they preparing me for a $1 billion company? Right? Like I think that way. And I'm like, oh my God, this loss in real might be preparing me for a $1 billion company, right? And it's just like, how empowering is that when you go through that way versus the focus on the loss, right? Because it's only hurtful because I focus on the loss. I'm not focused on the gain. If I focus on the gain that comes out of this, it's amazing. And the guy who lost me money, I can't wait to hug him. I really can't. I can't wait to hug him because holy shit, is he made me way more that I can see today as we zoom out a few months later. And oh my God, I can't imagine in a few years. I might take this guy out to a nice steak dinner and just thank him so much because it's helped me so much, you know. And so, anyway, I think just back to the meaning, how you look at it, how you look at what's happening in your life. If there's one takeaway from this, I think that changes your life. Fuck making you more successful and more money. All these things, it makes you happier.
Peace.
Yeah, it makes you happier for sure.
It's so beautiful, bro. And I think like there's first principles in life that leave clues for us. Yeah. And one of those is being able to sit in reflection. Yeah. You know, I think Socrates or whatever, a life unexamined is unworth living. Yeah. Right. And it's like, I think so often people are afraid to sit in their failures because it shows them that they're not good enough. Yeah. And if they're not good enough, they're not gonna be loved or get what they want, etc.
Meaning they made out of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. But if there's one lesson I think you and I both could just like implore the audience to take today, it's to have the courage to sit in your failures, in your challenges, in your fears, and reflect on them. Because inside of that literally is the unlock for the next level of growth.
I agree. And just notice how much it's helping you, and it's there for you, and it's exciting, and it's fun, and it's funny, and it's like, just label it. Just label it differently.
I told you, I think my biggest mistake and one of my biggest challenges has been just not believing in myself. Yeah. And the reframe that I've created in my mind, you'll like this. I said, I believe that all of the fears and doubts and limitations I have are given to me by my Creator, by God, because those are the areas He needs me to get as strong as possible so I can get to the next level.
I completely agree. I think, so Les Brown's a mentor of mine, and I had the pleasure of meeting with him, and he said, I believe hell is you wake up every day. When you die and you go to hell, you wake up every day and you have to watch the person you were supposed to become. Yeah. Live every day and you watch that. And I thought that was one of the most powerful, profound statements I've ever heard in my life. If I had to watch the person I was supposed to become, that is hell. That is hell. And I can wake up to that today. And I can live in heaven. On earth, I can live in heaven and I can be the person I'm supposed to become. Yeah. And so anyway, that's an extreme motivator for me. Just to, when he said, he's like, that's his belief. And no one knows, right? We're all making it up. But he believed that's what hell is for him. He's going to look at the person he was supposed to become. And if he doesn't become that person and ends up in hell. So I thought that was a really amazing analogy.
I love that.
Yeah.
What advice would you give, 25-year-old Anthony?
Oh my God. 25-year-old Anthony. I want to make sure I answer this very well. So I've got something that came to my head right away, but I want to make sure that that's what I want.
No rush, bro.
I think, you know what? I'll tell you a fun one. This is what I was looking for. I would say this is the most fun you're in the hard moments. I would say this is you're gonna miss this one day. And let me explain that, unpack that a little bit. Very blessed. We sold a business for a good amount. We very, very, very blessed on the prosperity that we're able to create and where I am today. And boy, do I miss a team member calling me saying, "Oh, we messed this up. How do you problem solve this? How do we do this?" Or a customer calling me saying, "You fucked this up," and I get to problem solve it, and I get to go through it and learn, but also like create and apply an application, and it's just like I miss that shit. I miss that, and I'm glad I'll have the opportunity to do that again too. I had a little bit of a non-compete period too that provided me that sit with that feeling, stare at a blank piece of paper, and boy did I miss the stuff that I used to complain about. So I would tell my 25-year-old self, as I'm on the ground crying because I got fired by an account or because of that, whatever it is, like all these things, like I'd be like, dude, you're gonna miss this one day. And I even like today, like I'm blessed, we run a bigger business and all that stuff, but I kind of miss some of the like early stage challenges.
Yeah.
Like they're pretty fucking cool actually, some of those early stage challenges, and they were at that moment too. And I knew enough to embrace it, but I didn't know enough to enjoy them and be like, I'm going to miss this one day.
Yeah. Yeah, don't be in such a hurry to get somewhere that you miss the joy of getting there.
Yeah, and you'll miss it. You'll look back and you'll be like, oh shit. Like I do miss some of these early, call it 0 to 100,000, 0 to $1 million challenges. Like that I don't know if I'll have in my lifetime I'll have challenges that relate exactly to that, or it won't be my first time tackling that challenge. Yes. And that first time is so cool. Yeah. It's almost like chasing the magic dragon, right? Like you and I don't do drugs, but like I hear that's a saying, right? like that like it's like chasing that initial hit, and it's like so I would tell myself when I to enjoy this, because the diminishing excitement on the achievement it diminishes after the first one. So anyone who's 25 or 65 and just starting out a business or just starting out a career path or whatever that is, it's realize that those things that you hate today, you'll miss.
I don't know where I heard it, but I recently heard something that's very congruent with this, and they said it's always the good old days.
Yeah, I like it. It
always is.
I like that.
It was the good old days when we did this or when we did this, and then the way that I started thinking about it is like, shit, today is going to be the good old days.
Never heard that. That's really good. I like
right?
That. I'm gonna steal that. That's really nice.
Yeah, because to your point, as you build the next 9-figure or 10-figure or whatever,
it's now the good old days for 10 years from now.
Exactly.
That's so beautiful. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
I love that.
That was cool.
Any final thoughts, recommendations, things that you would say where people can follow you?
I think, follow me. You just Google my name, and
we'll put social.
Yeah, anyone who reaches out, it might take me a couple days, but I respond to every single thing I get. If any way I can help, it's truly the most fulfilling thing for me today is to be able to just help others, achieve their goal, whatever that is, or just give some advice. Or I've had such beautiful mentors or podcasts, things like that have allowed me to be where I am today. So to pay it forward is huge. And I guess that's what I'll leave it with. I'll leave it with whatever this means to you, but the reaching back and pulling someone up and just is just man, it's such a human element that we have. And it's so cool just to we Republican, Democrat, black, white, all these things that it's like as humans, when you hear or you see someone tragically pass away or something happen with it, and everyone just feels that moment, that's human. That's human nature. And it didn't matter their race or their view. And I think just, we could talk about all the problems going on in America and the world and this, but I think if you live that in your own element, whatever that means to you, as far as listening to understand, not judge, offering to help, not gain. I think the world rewards you handsomely when you come from that viewpoint. So I would just say, last thing I'd leave with is that doesn't matter, you know something or you have something that someone else wants, and helping somebody else achieve that is, man, I can't think of a more rich, successful thing to do. And I hope everyone gets to experience, takes the time to experience that in their own way.
Yeah.
Because it's the ultimate rich, I believe, at any stage, it's purpose, it's fulfillment.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what I'd leave it with, is reach back, help someone, pick someone up, whatever that looks like. Donating your time, your efforts, spending a little bit extra time with your kids.
Yeah.
Giving advice to someone younger or older, but hearing someone out better, understand, not impose your judgment on it, and I think you'd be happier, a better world.
If I was to add a couple themes from the show, it's enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Find work that you enjoy doing and commit yourself to it.
Yeah.
And understand that the purpose oftentimes is just simply the growth that we go through as we solve the problems and work through the challenges of life. Those really make us who we are.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love it, Amy.
Awesome. One question I love to ask is, like, if you could have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be?
What's so funny? I actually, someone asked me the other day, if you could go back in time or forward in time, what would you do? And I'll tell you 2 interesting ones. I'd want to meet my mom and dad. They're still alive. When they were younger. I feel so blessed how I was raised, and my brothers, and just like the morals and characters they bestowed upon me. I'd want to see like what life experiences happen for them to be able to pass that on so well.
Yeah.
So I'd love to meet them when they were before I was alive, when they were
That's
younger.
A great question. Forward or back? I'm going to use that in the future.
And so I'd love to meet that. I think you gave me 3. I'd love to meet those 2. Would be pretty badass. And then the third one I'd like to meet. Man. I mean, I think it'd be pretty. Who else would I like to meet? Mom, dad. Let me think about someone. I'd actually like to meet probably Mother Teresa. Would be a pretty cool one. Just like someone who just dedicated their life to the service of others is fucking cool, dude. Shit.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you think we're doing cool stuff in business and stuff like this, like, just to be so unmaterialistic and so just like, I've got to imagine, speaking to her, that you just get this incredible sense of just like purpose in life. Yeah. And I feel like that'd be fucking a wake-up call for even I think I'm doing a pretty good job in life, by my own definitions, but like, holy shit, like you from freaking midnight to midnight, around the clock, you're thinking about how to help other people. Yeah. And I think that'd be a pretty cool person to just to be able to like feel that emotion next to. So those are the 3 people I'd like to meet.
Young mom, young dad, and Mother Teresa.
That's exactly right.
That would be a fun dinner for sure.
Yeah, that would be a hell of a dinner. Yeah, I think my dad would
about,
probably be doing some crazy stuff, but.
Do you have what's one thing on your bucket list that you just can't wait to do?
Man, travel-wise, Africa.
Okay.
Like we've talked about, you've done that'd be a really cool one for me. Bucket list. Other than that, man, I think one thing on my bucket list is, it's not even a bucket list, it's just like a stage in my life I'm looking forward to. And I think I'm far. I took this idea of just and listen, you can give at any stage of life and be philanthropic, and I am, and will continue to be, but also realize these are prime earning years, and if I'm able to maximize what I can earn now, I can spend, I think it's Dale Carnegie said he spent the first half of his life accumulate as much wealth as he could, in the second half giving it all away. And I'm really excited for that. I'm not in a rush to it, because that's, probably when I'm 60 plus, whatever it is. But like when like my whole day's focus is not running a business, earning, and I know it is today. By the way, I love it, love doing it today. Maybe it'll never come, but I'm excited for that stage in my life to just be able to apply similar principles and morals and learnings at a more full-time capacity to deploying capital in a philanthropic way and trying to solve world problems. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I don't know if that's a bucket list item, but that's something I'm like excited for that stage in my life that I'm not in a rush to get to, because it'll mean I'm probably towards the end of my life. But I'm excited for that. So,
Amazing.
yeah.
All right. Dude, I think the greatest gift we can give is the gift of our time and attention.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming and spending this time with me today,
brother.
sharing with the audience.
Thanks for having me.
Dude,
Awesome.
our friendship, you've inspired me in so many ways, and I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you. So thanks for coming, and for everybody listening, if you're here with us still, thank you for spending some time with us today. I say it every week, but I believe that all of our problems in life are solved with 3 words. It's my fault. When you take radical responsibility for where you're at, you can create the life that you want. If you got value from this show, all we would ever ask is share it with someone that's going to get value from it. Tell someone about it. Until next time, we'll see you guys soon.